Hey guys, I'm Combat Craig, and today we're going to talk about VA mental health ratings and how they're determined. In order to get a high VA mental health rating, the VA is going to be looking at the severity of your symptoms. Today we will be talking about mental health symptoms because they determine what your VA mental health rating is ultimately going to be. In order to win your VA mental health claim, you're going to need a diagnosis, symptoms, and a nexus. In this video, we're going to be talking about the symptoms. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you get value out of this video, and make sure you sign up for my bootcamp if you want to talk with me one-on-one in one of my live sessions, or you want to communicate via email. Links in the description. VA mental health ratings revolve around the concept of social and occupational impairment. As we go through the different ratings, you'll see that phrase pop up a lot in the different rating criteria, the different percentages. 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, and 100. It's all based on social and occupational impairment. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself that everybody's gone through a divorce or is estranged from their kids or wants to beat the shit out of their boss, and you'd be right. Most human beings, Americans, deal with this kind of stuff, but the VA has been mandated by federal law to look into your social and occupational impairment, so that's what you need to focus on, and the more you open up about how your disability affects you, the higher your VA mental health rating is going to get. You're going to want to paint a picture about your social and your work life and the impairment, and here are a few things that you should get together that's going to help you do this. I would get your Social Security records from all the way back to when you started working as a teenager. Nothing shows occupational impairment over a sustained period of time, like your entire work history, that has no job lasting longer than 2 years, no career to speak of, and then lots of gaps where you couldn't find a job, you're on unemployment, then you got another job and that lasted for 6 months and you got fired because you can't stand to look at your boss's stupid face, and it repeats itself. And this process goes on for 30 years. This is a good way to explain occupational impairment. Like, there's no career here. I can't even hold a job for longer than 2 years. The average job, 6 months, been fired from everything. So you could get your Social Security records, and here's what that form looks like. You also want to get copies of all of your arrest records for every time you've been charged with a misdemeanor or a felony. If a restraining order has been put on you, then add that to the pile as well. Get copies of your divorce paperwork and any other legal paperwork that shows that you had your kids taken away from you, alimony, child support, that kind of stuff. The normal person, which isn't veterans, the normal person doesn't go to jail. I guess there's an argument to be made about divorce, but usually the normal person doesn't get their kids taken away from them and doesn't go to jail. So that is social impairment. These are things that are explaining that you cannot function socially, depending on the degree of difficulty you have around people. If you have these charges and records and your kids taken away, this is good stuff to get in and get together before you file your claim. Now you have a package of information that supports your occupational impairment with your Social Security records. And then you can also prove social impairment because you've been arrested twice for assault, you've been divorced 3 times, you have 2 restraining orders put on you by your ex-wife, and the kids were taken away from you 10 years ago. This is good objective evidence to support your claim. If you didn't know you needed all this stuff, in addition to a diagnosis, symptoms, and a nexus, before you filed your last claim, then you probably ended up with a lower mental health rating than you deserve because the VA didn't have all the information. You didn't know you needed to provide it, so they didn't have it, so they gave you a lowball rating. So did you get the right VA mental health rating? You filed your claim, you went to your C&P exam, which you didn't feel very good about, and 5 months later, you got your decision letter. The VA has you down at a 30% VA mental health rating, and you are shooting for a 70% mental health rating. Your decision letter will say why they gave you a 30% rating, and they'll explain why they didn't go up to 50 or didn't go lower to 10. They explain that in your decision letter. It's important to read your decision letter a few times, however many times it takes, right? Until you understand it. So your first shot at it is going to be, well, this sucks. I was going for 70 and got 30. I would glance at that and then toss it aside, come back to it in a couple days. You need to read it and understand it. And if you're emotional and pissed off, it's not going to sink in. This is a legal action. You need to understand legally where you stand now and legally what you need to do to go after that 70% rating. Most likely, the CNP examiner and the VA rater are downplaying your symptoms, or you didn't properly report them in the first place. It's usually one of those two things. Either way, this is what you're going to appeal, and you need to have the medical evidence to support that 70% VA mental health rating. And if you already have it, then you'll do a higher level review. If you don't have the evidence and you didn't know what you were doing, and now you know you're missing stuff, then you're going to need to file a supplemental claim, and you're going to go out and get new and relevant medical evidence that shows your symptoms at the 70% range. So you either do a higher level review if you have the evidence and you know you have it, and if you don't know, go get more and then file a supplemental VA claim. Let me jump in here real quick and tell you about my boot camp. If you want to learn more about the VA claims process, check out my boot camp. You can talk to me live. There's a link on the website and in the description, combatcraig.com. And also, if you need medical evidence like a nexus or documenting your symptoms properly, go to our website, combatcraig.com, and it says medteam/nexus letters. Click on that link, fill out the form, boom, you're done.